Have you ever wondered how some people build massive wealth over time without working crazy hours or taking huge risks? The secret might surprise you. It's something called compound interest. Hi, I'm James, and welcome back to Midlife Wealth Journey, where we help midlifers like you create a secure financial future. Today, we're diving into the power of compound interest and how it can transform your wealth, even if you're starting in your 40s or 50s. I used to think saving a little here and there wouldn't make a difference. But once I understood compound interest, it changed everything for me. In this video, I'll explain what compound interest is, share my own story of how it helped me grow my money, introduce you to someone who turned a small investment into a big win, and give you practical steps to harness its power for your midlife wealth plan. Let's get started. What is compound interest and why it matters? So, what exactly is compound interest? Think of it like a snowball rolling down a hill. At first, it's small, but as it rolls, it picks up more snow and gets bigger and bigger. Compound interest works the same way with your money. It's the process where you earn interest not just on your initial investment, but also on the interest you've already earned. Over time, this creates exponential growth, which is why it's one of the most powerful tools for building wealth. Why does this matter in your 40s and 50s? Because you still have time to let compound interest work its magic. But the clock is ticking. If you start investing now, even with a modest amount, your money can grow significantly by retirement. The earlier you start, the more time compound interest has to compound, pun intended. But even if you're starting later, like I did at 44, you can still see impressive results with consistency. For example, let's say you invest $200 a month starting at age 45, earning an average return of 8%, a reasonable rate for a diversified stock market investment. By the time you're 65, that's 20 years, and your investment could grow to over $113,000. If you wait until you're 50 to start with the same $200 a month, you'd only have about $65,000 by sit 5. That's a difference of nearly $50,000, just because you started 5 years earlier. Compound interest rewards time, so the sooner you get started, the better. My story: how compound interest changed my finances. Let me take you back to my own journey with compound interest. When I was 44, I had just paid off $18,500 in credit card debt. A huge win I shared in my midlife money story. I also had a $9,000 emergency fund, which gave me peace of mind. But I knew I needed to start investing for retirement, and I wasn't sure where to begin. I'd heard about compound interest, but I didn't fully understand how it could help me until I sat down and did some math. I started by contributing to my employer's 401k plan. They offered a matching contribution. If I put in 3/4 of my salary, they'd match it with another 3/4. That was like free money, so I signed up and contributed $200 a month, with my employer adding another $200. I also opened an individual retirement account and invested an extra $100 a month in a low-cost index fund that tracked the stock market. I didn't try to pick individual stocks or time the market. I just invested consistently, month after month. At first, the growth was slow. After a year, my investments were worth about $3,600, and I wondered if it was worth the effort. But then I started seeing the power of compound interest kick in. By the time I turned 46, my retirement accounts had grown to $20,000, even with some market ups and downs. That growth wasn't just from my contributions. It was from the interest compounding on top of my initial investments. Now, at 46, I'm still investing $300 a month, and I'm on track to have over $100,000 by the time I'm 60, assuming an 8% return. That's money I'll be able to live on in retirement, all because I let compound interest work for me. It's one of the smartest financial decisions I've ever made. A real-life story. Mike's small investment, big win. Now let me tell you about Mike, a 49-year-old mechanic who turned a small investment into a big win with compound interest. Mike had always been skeptical about investing. He worked long hours at his garage, earning a solid income. But he spent most of his money on his family and didn't save much. When he turned 49, he realized he had almost nothing saved for retirement, and he started to worry about his future. A friend convinced him to try investing, and Mike decided to start small. He opened a retirement account and invested $150 a month in an index fund with an average return of 8%. At first, Mike wasn't sure it would make a difference. He figured $150 a month wasn't enough to matter. But he stuck with it, adding that amount every month without touching it. After 5 years, when Mike turned 54, his investment had grown to $11,000. He was amazed. His initial contributions totaled $9,000, but the extra $2,000 came from compound interest. That motivated him to increase his contributions to $200 a month. Now, at 59, Mike's investment is worth over $30,000, and he's just 6 years away from retirement. He's planning to keep investing until he retires at 65, and with compound interest, he could have close to $60,000 by then. Mike told me he wishes he'd started earlier, but he's thrilled with the results he's seeing now. His story shows that even a small, consistent investment can grow into something significant with the power of compound interest. How compound interest works. A simple breakdown. Let's break down how compound interest works so you can see why it's such a game changer. The basic formula is that your money grows based on your initial investment, plus the interest you earn, which gets reinvested to earn more interest. The key factors are the amount you invest, the interest rate, and the time you let it compound. Here's a simple example. If you invest $5,000 today and earn 8% interest per year, after 1 year, you'd have $5,400. In the second year, you earn 8% on $5,400, which is $432, bringing your total to $5,832. By the third year, you earn 8% on $5,832, which is $466, making your total $6,290. That growth keeps accelerating because you're earning interest on interest. Over 20 years, that $5,000 could grow to over $24,000 at 8% interest without adding another dime. Now, let's add regular contributions, which is more realistic for most of us. If you invest $200 a month at 8% interest starting at age with after 20 years, you'd have over $113,000, as I mentioned earlier. If you increase that to $300 a month, you could have over $170,000 by 65. The longer you let your money compound, the more dramatic the growth. That's why starting in your 40s or 50s still gives you a huge advantage. You've got 15 to 25 years for compound interest to work. The catch is consistency. You need to keep investing, even when the market dips or life gets busy. But the reward is worth it. Compound interest turns small amounts into big wealth over time. Practical steps to harness compound interest. So, how do you harness the power of compound interest for your midlife wealth plan? Here are 4 practical steps to get started. Step 1. Start investing, even a little. You don't need a lot of money to begin. $50 or $100 a month is enough to get the ball rolling. Open a retirement account, like a 401k if your employer offers one, or an individual retirement account if you don't. Look for low-cost index funds, which track the stock market and have historically returned about 8% a year on average. I started with $300 a month, and it's grown steadily ever since. The key is to start now, because time is your biggest asset with compound interest. Step 2. Automate your investments. Set up automatic transfers from your checking account to your investment account every month. This takes the decision out of your hands, so you're not tempted to spend that money elsewhere. For example, if you decide to invest $200 a month, schedule it to transfer the day after you get paid. Automation helps me stay consistent, and it can do the same for you. Step 3. Increase your contributions over time. As your income grows, maybe from a raise or a side hustle like I did with freelancing, add more to your investments. Even an extra $50 a month can make a big difference. For example, if you start with $200 a month and increase it by $50 every year, you could have over $130,000 by age 65 with an 8% return. Small increases compound too, amplifying your growth. Step 4. Let time do the work. Resist the urge to pull money out of your investments, even when the market dips. Compound interest needs time to build momentum, and short-term fluctuations are normal. I had moments when my investments dropped by 5% or 10%, but I stayed the course, and they recovered and grew beyond where they started. Patience is what turns a small investment into a big payoff. These steps, starting small, automating, increasing contributions, and being patient, are how you let compound interest work for you. You don't need to be a financial expert, you just need to be consistent. Common misconceptions about compound interest. There are a few misconceptions about compound interest that might hold you back, so let's clear them up. First, some people think you need a lot of money to benefit from it. That's not true. Even $50 a month can grow with compound interest. $50 a month at 8% over 20 years could turn into over $28,000. It's the consistency, not the amount, that matters. Second, people assume it's too late to start in their 40s or 50s. While it's true that starting earlier is better, it's never too late. Mike started at 49 with $150 a month and now has $30,000 at 59. You've still got decades for your money to grow, especially with regular contributions. Third, some worry about losing money in the stock market. It's true that investments can go down, but over the long term, a diversified portfolio like an index fund tends to grow. The key is to hold on through the dips and let compound interest smooth out the ride. I've seen my investments drop, but they've always recovered and grown more over time. Finally, people think compound interest is complicated. It can sound intimidating, but it's really just about earning interest on interest. With simple tools like retirement accounts and index funds, anyone can use it. I'm proof of that. I didn't know much about investing when I started, but I learned as I went. How compound interest fits into your midlife wealth plan. Let's talk about how compound interest fits into your broader midlife wealth plan. In your 40s and 50s, you're likely focusing on paying off debt, building an emergency fund, and saving for retirement. All things we've covered in previous videos. Compound interest is the engine that drives your retirement savings and long-term goals. For example, once your debt is under control and you have an emergency fund, like I did with my $9,000 safety net, you can start directing extra income or savings into investments. That $300 a month I invest now is growing because of compound interest, and it'll keep growing as I add more over time. If you boost your income with a side hustle, as we talked about last time, you can put that extra money into investments and let compound interest do the heavy lifting. Compound interest also helps with other goals, like saving for your kids' college or a dream home. The earlier you start investing for those goals, the more compound interest can grow your money. It's a simple but powerful way to turn your midlife efforts into a wealthy future. The power of compound interest is like a secret weapon for building wealth in midlife. My story shows how starting with $300 a month at 44 grew to $20,000 by 46. And Mike's journey proves that even a small investment at 49 can turn into $30,000 by 59. You can harness this power too, starting today. I want to hear from you. How much are you planning to invest to take advantage of compound interest? Maybe it's $50, $100, or $200 a month. Drop a comment below, and I'd love to cheer you on. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next video. We're going to be talking about creating a midlife retirement plan, and you won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.